This conference will now be recorded.
Hi there. Good morning to all of you. I'm Jennifer Hughes, and I'm going to be your presenter this morning. And I have to admit, the number keeps creeping up on our number of folks joining, which is wonderful, but it's making me just a little bit nervous. So I'm so glad that y'all are here this morning. What a wonderful surprise. It looks like we've got 39 folks in the meeting. Now we're up to 40. It's great to have you all here. So I think we'll just wait maybe about 30 more seconds, let folks get situated using GoToMeeting, and we'll just get started here probably in about 20 more seconds. I'm so grateful that y'all took the time to listen this morning. It's a real honor. So I hope that wherever you are, if you're at home or if you're in your office, I certainly hope that today finds you in good health, and you'll definitely be in good company here this morning. Good. It looks like we've got several new folks just joining in the past couple of seconds here. So why don't we go ahead and get started this morning? Terrific. So my name is Jennifer Hughes, and I serve as the Managing Director of the Office of Planning and Assessment here at Texas Tech. We are located in Lubbock, Texas, with a student population of 40,000+ students. We are getting ready very soon to submit our SAC-COC fifth year interim report, which is due here in March 2021. So we are doing our best, as probably most of you all are as well, trying to navigate the pandemic, trying to continue our focus on our institutional fifth year report. We're just trying to keep our eye on the prize in the midst of this new world, I think, that we're all living in. I also serve as president of the Texas Association for Higher Education Assessment, and that is just a role that I just absolutely love, and hope that all of you attending today will consider attending both future webinars of our association. We lovingly refer to ourselves as TxAHEA for the Texas Association for Higher Education Assessment. We're a new organization, but even though we're new, we've got a long history. We started as the West Texas Assessment Conference, and now we have slowly built our association to be not just a regional organization, but a statewide organization. And it's our goal to provide professional development opportunities for assessment professionals within the state of Texas and beyond. So we are here for you. We are here for each other. And goodness knows, in a pandemic, we need each other, I think, more than ever. And so this webinar series that we're launching today is intended to be for you. If you serve as an assessment professional, or if you have any kind of assessment responsibility in your role, this webinar is for you. And our association is for you as well. So I am supported by a fantastic team at TxAHEA, and also by a fantastic team at Texas Tech. And without...
So this is the sister that was in Oregon and working in Health Doc and has moved to, so may I ask why she moved?
Oh, and you know what, you guys, looks like maybe we've got a little bit of conversation interference. Just want to kind of remind everybody to go ahead and mute yourself. So I know we're probably all trying to do a gajillion different things at once. But again, I am supported by a terrific team at TxAHEA, and a very supportive team at Texas Tech. So again, I just want to reiterate to you that this webinar is for you. If you have any kind of assessment responsibility in your job, I think that you'll find this this particular webinar really helpful. So again, just a couple of housekeeping things. If you'd kindly mute yourself, that'd be great. If you want to show your video, that would be great. No one needs to, it's not mandatory. It's a little weird for me to tell you the truth, to just be speaking into this microphone and to not be in front of an audience. It's really weird, to tell you the truth. But I think probably like many of you, we're learning new skills and we're learning how to adapt. And hopefully, I know this presentation has really forced me to reflect on how is COVID making us better? And that may sound a little Pollyanna to many of you, but I don't know how else to be. You know, we can't let this pandemic force us into a worse place than we already are. So I'm really trying to focus on how is this making us better? How are we learning new skills? How am I learning new skills? And how am I sharing that with our faculty colleagues? So before we get into this presentation, again, don't forget to mute yourself. Share your video if you like. We have a brief survey that we'll offer to you probably around 11-ish. Once we get a little bit further along in the webinar.
So if you look at how much
that you'll give us
of the wealth in the United States, it's very interesting.
On this webinar, and also you may have some ideas for future webinar topics for us.
For my statistics.
About. You may also have some folks in mind that you'd like to hear from, and we'd love to reach out to those people. So we want your feedback. We need your feedback. So be looking for that survey link about 11 a.m. If you're also interested in receiving the slides to this presentation, please email me. I'd be happy to send that directly to you. I will put my email address in the chat here. Near the end of our presentation, but again, I'd be delighted to share anything here in this presentation. Let me talk about some future webinars that we already have planned. And so I'm going to go ahead and share that information with you, just so you can even put that on your calendar while you're here. All right. So as I mentioned, TxAHEA, we are a new organization, but we have a long history as the West Texas Assessment Conference. So we are now, again, a state regional, nearly formally recognized by the IRS, but COVID definitely gave us a little bit of a detour in terms of getting our official IRS standing. But we have, as an association, several webinars planned for you and your colleagues already. So today, again, I'll be talking about offering professional development during COVID-19. November 11th, the incoming president of TxAHEA, again, Texas Association for Higher Education Assessment, Leah Campbell. Leah works at the University of Houston downtown. She's going to be sharing with us about 5 things she wished that she had known when she started in assessment. So I think that will be very hands-on, very practical information that she'll be willing to share with you. Then we have Rosalind Ong from San Antonio College in February, talking about continuous improvement during uncertain times, transforming the institutional assessment culture. Next, we have Amanda Harris, who'll be talking with us in March, and Amanda's still working on the details of her webinar topic. And then in April, we have Blake Tretico from also the University of Houston downtown, talking about co-curricular assessment, not just for student affairs. So we hope that this will just be the start of many webinars that you'll join with us. Again, these are all free. We look forward to growing our audience as an association. Again, we are here for you. Our mission is to provide professional development to assessment professionals. We also hope that you'll join us in September 2021. We are so hopeful that we'll be able to hold our face-to-face conference in downtown San Antonio, September 27th through the 29th, in a beautiful hotel in San Antonio that's just quintessential San Antonio. And we hope that you'll put that event on your calendar. It's just we really pride ourselves in putting on a very accessible, fun conference that isn't a bit pretentious. We are friendly and we are supportive and helpful and very collegial to each other. So we hope that travel will be hopefully maybe a little bit back to normal come fall 2021. So we hope that you put our conference on your professional development schedule. We would love to have you. All righty. So let me also just remind you, it looks like we've had a number of folks join. We're now up to 56 participants. Again, kindly just mute yourself if you don't mind. If you want to share your video, that would be terrific. If you have questions that you would like me to address later in our Q&A session, go ahead and put those in the chat window, and I'll begin taking a look at those a little bit further into our presentation, but I'll certainly address those in our Q&A session, likely around 11:15. So hopefully everybody should be comfortable and used to GoToMeeting. I know a lot of folks may be new to GoToMeeting. We've had a lot of success with it in our office. It's real similar to Zoom. Hopefully you can see the chat window with just a little bubble in case you have any, again, questions that you'd like to ask. All righty. Okay, so let me just talk about what are our goals for today's webinar. I am a roll with a flow kind of person, and I intentionally have designed this webinar to be very conversational, and to really be a work share of sorts, to share with you all how our office, we have adapted to providing professional development during COVID-19. So I hope that you understand our former professional development strategies, why those strategies failed and are no longer relevant in today's pandemic, and how and why COVID is making us better. Again, I apologize for that. I don't apologize for that kind of Pollyanna perspective. I think it's a conscious intention to really, use this pandemic as an opportunity to be better. Alrighty, so hopefully that will give you an idea of where we're headed this morning. And my presentation is really broken into those three different sections, describing what we used to do, then talking about why those particular strategies are no longer relevant, and how and why COVID is ultimately going to make us better and stronger as an office. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how our office's professional development offerings have paralleled our institution's accreditation cycle. And this may or may be similar or dissimilar to you all, but I think those of us who are certainly in TxAHEA definitely get this cycle. And so in 2010, we were working on our first fifth-year interim report. I've been in this office since 2008, actually when we were on probation with TxAHEA. So I've really seen our office make a really pretty significant transformation in terms of that probationary status and where we are now. In 2015, we had our reaffirmation of accreditation. Probably like many of you, we went on monitoring for Comprehensive Standard 3313. Gosh, isn't that crazy? 3311. I've even forgotten the old numbering system. So certainly our professional development offerings have very much paralleled our accreditation cycle. In 2015, when we went on monitoring, of course, our office, we prepared everything that we could related to degree program assessment, strengthening student learning outcomes, what is an assessment method, how do you document an action for improvement, what the heck is an action for improvement. And so certainly we just tailored our offerings, which were all face-to-face, and for the most part in small group settings that probably similar to your institution, we would have people sign up ahead of time and they would come face-to-face, and we would meet with them, you know, an hour or so about a particular theme. We are now working, we successfully got off monitoring in 2016, and now we are working on our 5th year report, which is due here March 15th, 2021. And so of course, again, like many of you in March, we received the news on St. Patrick's Day, actually, that that we were moving to a working from home situation, an indefinite working from home situation. And at that point in time, 1 year before our 5th year interim report was due, we were really very much gung-ho about preparing our authors, preparing our faculty for what this 5th year interim report would look like and what would be the kind of data that we would be requesting from folks. So very much our professional development has mirrored where we are in our accreditation cycle, for better or for worse. But now, you know, in early March, we were really hit with a pretty significant impasse. You know, what do we do? How do we still make sure that we can be effective in teaching our faculty colleagues? How can we make sure that we get the data that we need in order to be compliant? This is also, I think, further complicated, again, like many of you, learning an entirely new classification system for the new TxAHEA standards. How do we, again, effectively communicate those changes to our faculty colleagues? So it really presented, again, a big impasse for our office, not knowing when we would return to campus. I don't know about y'all, but I know for me, I thought when we left in March, I thought, oh, we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. I didn't think that we would be gone for months. And I'm sure that also had an impact on what I thought would be a short-term, wonderful work from home situation. Okay, let me talk a little bit about, I think, what's unique for us. Maybe some of you have also had issues with TxAHEA in the past. Let's call it that. That's kind of a nice way to talk about it. But certainly we were on probation back in 2008. Texas Tech has had this kind of stormy cloud over our institution in terms of how we view assessment. And that has even impacted our work with faculty now, especially our long-term faculty. They've realized that kind of really dark period in our history. So we were on probation with TxAHEA in 2008. We were released from probation in 2009. 2010, as I mentioned earlier, we submitted our 5th year report. We had a successful reaffirmation of accreditation. We did go on monitoring for 3311. We were released from monitoring in December 2016. And again, we are now here in March 2021 with our 5th year report coming due. So we've kind of always had this, this dark cloud concerning assessment, which is why our office has so heavily focused on professional development, is to really slowly change the tide, really change the conversation around assessment so that it's more proactive and it's less focused on, you know, that terrible past that is still so much on people's minds. So prior to COVID-19, we had these very traditional faculty engagement methods. Again, as I mentioned earlier, primarily in small groups. We would serve snacks. We also, until just recently, have what we call a coffee breaks, where we provide free coffee for folks. But again, it was all face-to-face, generally in small groups. I think our office has always done a good job providing customized one-on-one training. But again, that has always been, until most recently, that's always been face-to-face as well. And I have to share with you, that's something that I've always been really proud of, that our office has really excelled in developing relationships with faculty in all disciplines through that face-to-face contact and relationship development. But again, as you all know, in March, that all changed dramatically. But I think what's also, because of COVID-19, I think what's also kind of forced me to reckon with myself is that, you know, we give the same kind of training over and over and over, probably like many of you. And a lot of our training is focused on how to use the software system that collects our assessment data. I don't know if any of you are Nuventive Improve, formerly TxAHEA users. In our office, we also do faculty credentialing, and so we also do a lot of training on digital measures. So much of our work is really focused on getting faculty to use our software. But of course, in those traditional methods that I talked about earlier, they forget. We can spend, 30 to 45 minutes with a faculty member, and, again, as this slide shares with you, after about 6 days, people forget about 75% of the training information that that we provide to them. And so, those face-to-face training sessions are often followed up, in a week or so later with very repetitive information. And so at some point, I think COVID, again, forced me to reconcile, well, how effective and how efficient are those traditional faculty engagement methods? And how can we be more nimble in responding to what our faculty need in this pandemic setting? I mentioned to y'all just a few minutes ago about one particular type of training that we offered. It's called coffee breaks. And at the time, again, we thought it was wildly successful. I think that it still is to a certain extent, but certainly the methods that we used previously are just no longer safe. So we previously, again, got people together, invited them to talk about a host of assessment-related topics. We recruited faculty and staff on campus to also provide their expertise in these sessions. We've given these fancy schmancy awards. We give out an assessment innovation grant, $500 to about 4 or 5 faculty across campus that do exceptional work in assessment. But again, this type of professional development was just no longer feasible in the pandemic. And I have to say, it's hard to let go of some of this because it's your baby. Your fellow colleagues have such a huge stake in the success of these types of programs, and so it's really hard to walk away or modify something that you thought was really successful and you thought met the needs of your faculty. So we had to say goodbye in spring 2020 to a lot of activities. We also had to say goodbye to another professional development offering that we have had for many years, called OPA Learning Series, where our office, we provide our expertise not only on software usage, but also on just kind of the more scholarly academic issues related to assessment, best practices, variability of assessment methods and distance learning, for example. So it was really, I think it was really hard to walk away from also recognizing and celebrating your own professional expertise as assessment professionals. That, I think, is a real challenge, and maybe even a knock to your own confidence that, again, these methods that you once used are just no longer relevant, and most importantly, no longer safe. So again, reconciling this has been difficult. Why did our pre-COVID professional development strategies fail us? Well, we found that we were constantly retraining assessment reporters. Again, that retention of information, especially technical information, seems to leave folks really quickly. And you all know we're working with a difficult crowd, a real smart crowd. So that, I think, has been really challenging. We're also constantly training new assessment reporters. New faculty come and go in their assessment reporting roles, and so we're constantly trying to find efficient ways to train new people who have had zero experience with assessment. So training them not only on what a student learning outcome is, how to assess learning in your degree program, but then also teaching them the technical aspects of reporting are also really challenging. I think our former reliance on face-to-face training and unpredictable attendance also is just not going to work in this new environment. I don't know about many of you, but oftentimes we would set up meetings with faculty, face-to-face meetings. We would send Microsoft Outlook meeting requests, and then folks just wouldn't show up. So it really was a poor return on investment from an office resource perspective. Typically what we do is we meet with every single department chair on an annual basis, face-to-face. Oftentimes those meetings need to be rescheduled because the chair, for whatever reason, doesn't show up or needs to reschedule last minute. And so I think, again, that old way of doing things isn't the path forward. So in spring 2020, we had this fantastic lineup of our former approach, our coffee break series, and we ended up having to cancel these presentations again due to the pandemic. So again, our office put a lot of effort and planning into this, and we had to check it due to safety. I'm sure many of you, again, can share similar stories about how your professional development offerings just completely, completely tanked in spring 2020. So how did we react? Again, when COVID-19 became a threat in spring 2020, I think early on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, we very quickly canceled our spring 2020 learning series. We canceled all face-to-face training sessions. Basically we just canceled everything. And that, again, initially, I think I wasn't really quite sure, well, are we going to, what are we going to be back to the office? 2 weeks became 3, 3 weeks became 6, 6 weeks became 3 months. So during this weird period in spring 2020, as our office, we're learning to hold Zoom meetings. We're learning to hold, at the time we were using Microsoft Teams. And so we were learning as well how to conduct virtual meetings. Well, we had a faculty member ask a very innocent question during one of those first virtual meetings. At our spring 2020 University Institutional Effectiveness Committee meeting, we had a single faculty member who asked a very innocent question that really changed everything for us. Or I should say for me, because it really caused me to think think differently and to realize that faculty are paying attention to how we respond to the pandemic. So that faculty member asked, what is OPA's response to the pandemic? Will there be an extension to the assessment deadline? We've always had a very solid October 1 assessment deadline that's never changed. And maybe some of you might recall there was quite a bit of chatter actually on the SACS listserv about whether folks were going to be extending their assessment deadline. And the general consensus seemed to be that no, people were not extending their deadlines, although there did seem to be some flexibility with the deadline. But in general, people were kind of holding fast to their deadline. So that innocent faculty question really got kind of the wheels spinning about what is our response to the pandemic? How should we be perhaps more proactive and more, again, more nimble in how we have always traditionally done our jobs? So here's how we made the switch. Here's how we made the change. We conducted all of our summer annual chair meetings online. Again, I think I'd shared just a little bit ago, those were a source of pride for me personally. Getting to meet the chair in her office on an annual basis was something that I know I looked forward to. It was great relationship building. We moved all of those meetings online. We also created, starting in July, we created a monthly 1-minute video project. And that 1-minute video theme is something that I decided based on kind of what I thought would be the need at that particular time. But again, we didn't start these new strategies until about July. So it took from March to July to kind of get our bearings and to figure out, well, and that conversation with that faculty member, it took that question to really transform, I think, my thinking in really being more intentional about how we deliver our services to faculty. So we created this very short 1-minute video. I have to say though, it's really hard to pack in a lot of critical information in a video. I know one of the videos I've done since July was actually 6 minutes. So they're not all super short, but 6 minutes isn't too bad. We also created a monthly blog post on an assessment themed topic. So we tried to be more just in time with our professional development offerings than we'd ever been in the past, with a focus on providing very short content. So these blog posts, I would say at a maximum, are 300 to 400 words. And the length on the video, again, is also very intentionally short. We also are in the process of moving all of our assessment celebrations to a virtual format. You'd seen some of those beautiful plaques that we had given our faculty. We do an assessment innovation grant every year, and we are making plans right now for that to be a virtual celebration, a 30-minute virtual celebration among those who've won that award. So again, our thinking is all about how do we deliver content online, and how do we do this in a setting that works for faculty who are having to constantly adapt their teaching methods, and even academic calendar. I know here at Texas Tech, we just, probably many of you already have firm academic calendars, but our president just announced yesterday that we won't be holding classes after Thanksgiving. So, you know, our faculty, I think, are appropriately and rightly stressed. And so if we can create short content that gives them what they need in a time-sensitive format, I hope that will prove to be really useful. Currently, we don't have any plans right now to hold any face-to-face events until mid-spring or late spring 2021. I think that's just the way it is right now. And so I expect that we're going to have monthly blog posts and monthly videos for a long time to come. I think it's the way that we need to really focus our work right now. So some of you it just might be interested, if you'd like, I will share, again, as I mentioned earlier, I will share the URLs to these particular items here that you see on the screen. I'd be happy to send you the link to all of our 1-minute videos and to our blog posts. And here's also just a way, we do really try to celebrate our faculty. They're on the homepage of our office website. These are the folks who received the 2020 Assessment Innovation Grant Award winners. We try really hard in our office to, just celebrate those faculty who are really doing really terrific work in assessment. So again, I'd be happy to share any of the URLs, and you're welcome to, again, take a look at all of these brief blog posts too. It might be something that you want to try on your campus. So are we better now that we've been living through this for quite some time? And so again, this presentation really caused me to reflect on this question. I think that we've become more efficient. I think that our professional development is certainly more just in time. We've consciously also made an effort to be relevant with what's going on our campus at the moment. We've become more, I think, entrepreneurial in a sense, that we've had to come up with quick and easy and manageable professional development offerings. We are also, and I in particular, maybe like many of you, just concerned about screen fatigue and just fatigue in general. It's not uncommon that we spend so much of our days now on video calls. And so I think it's even more important to make sure that our content is short to keep people as engaged as possible, because they're trying to do a gajillion things at once. So how are we doing? Is our strategy working? I wish I could tell you that I've got all this data, all this assessment data to prove that it's working. And unfortunately, I don't. We haven't done any outreach to our faculty yet to ask them if this is working for them. We can look at usage statistics on our videos. We haven't really delved into that just yet. But that's kind of the next phase. As we build this content, we also need to assess it, of course. And because we've been so busy building the content yet, again, I don't have any firm or conclusive data that it's working yet. But we evolve, we grow. That's certainly the next step in our way of being during the pandemic. What I'd like to do right now is to ask Kaylee, who's on this call, Kaylee from Texas Tech, to go ahead and share your thoughts with us on this webinar and future webinars. Kaylee's going to post a Qualtrics URL in the chat window, and we'd like you to go ahead and take a moment or two to complete the Qualtrics survey. So while Kaylee posts that in the chat window, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at our questions in case we've got any questions. Okay. All right. So while you guys are completing that survey, again, I want to put in another plug for our conference in San Antonio. We hope that you'll join us September 27th through the 29th in San Antonio. We are putting together a wonderful slate of pre-conference workshops if you'd like to join us on the 27th. Otherwise, you can join us on the 28th for the first day of the conference. It's a day-and-a-half conference, so September 28th is a full day, 8 to 5 of conference sessions, followed by a half day on the 29th. We put together a really great party, you guys. I can't tell you enough. Please come. It will feed your soul, and we will feed you with amazing food. Again, I can't tell you enough. We put on a really good party, and I think it would be, you'd have a lot of fun. And goodness knows, We all need some fun. We need to find ways to feed ourselves, intellectually, spiritually, socially. So, come join us in San Antonio. We'd love to make friends. It would be a lot of fun. Okay, terrific. So I hope you've had a chance to fill out that survey. And I'm just going to check my time here. It's 11:10. Okay, great. And I can see a couple of folks have asked for information, private messages. So I'll be happy to send those to you guys. All right. You guys, I'm not seeing any questions specifically in the chat. Does anybody have any further questions about how we've adapted, where we're going to go, how we plan to assess what we're doing? Oh, thank you so much. I see a lot of folks who would like some of the links. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Allison. How will you handle distribution of physical awards? And Yvonne, it's so good to see your name here. Allison, that is a great question. We are going to send the physical plaques in campus mail to our folks. We do realize that many of our faculty, though, are working from home. So we're going to contact the faculty member, ask their preferences if they want us to send it to their home address or their campus address. So we didn't want to forego those plaques during COVID because they are, first of all, they're beautiful. And I think they're also just a nice reminder to faculty that their work matters and also that it's noticed. So that was something that we wanted to keep. Even though it is a hassle, it's an extra cost to get them made and personalized. We personalized the awards with a faculty member's name, but we felt that it was important enough to keep, so we're keeping it. Great. Oh, and I can see, oh, you guys are sending, thank you so much for the private messages. They're really nice. And thank you, Allison, for that question. That was a great question. Does anybody else have any other, oh, Allison, okay. Do you feel that not being able to offer food, coffee will impact attendance for professional development events? You know, Allison, that is a great question. And I don't know just yet. Our coffee breaks, honestly, were really successful because of, just the free coffee from our campus Starbucks. So we're just trying to find ways to keep people at least connected to our office. And so I hope that at least the short content will be helpful to people. But I'm sure on some level, not being able to offer food and drink will affect attendance, because I think it's just a nice way for, campus friends across campus to just get together for a short bit of time and talk about assessment. We try to really make those events fun. So I'm sure in some way it will impact attendance, and I don't know when we'll be able to even resume those. Probably, again, as I said, maybe late spring 2021, maybe. That's a kind of a big maybe. Anybody else, guys? Oh, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so glad that you hung in there. I know we lost a couple of folks, but thanks to the 41 of you who stuck through this. It's really encouraging. And again, it's so weird to just be talking into a microphone. So I'm just envisioning all of your faces out there. But thank you so much. Have a great day. Please, please, please come back, you guys, for our future webinars. We would love, love, love to have you. And I wish you a good day. I wish you safety and good health, and hang in there. This isn't easy, but we can do it, and we can be better on the other side. Have a great day. I'll end the meeting right now. Thank you. And I'll send out all those links to all of you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.